Aloha, folks. You are listening to Inside the Desert Oasis Room, episode number 169. This episode is sponsored by Tandawai Rum, the world's largest rum producer and winner of over 170 international medals in the past 4 decades. Check out their webpage at tandawaiusa.com or follow them on Facebook or Instagram at tandawaiusa. On this installment of the Covid Chronicles, we chat with writer and rum aficionado of the Atomic Grog, Jim Hurricane Hayward. We recorded this episode just a little over a week ago, before some beaches were reopened in Florida, and before the Hukilau had announced the way they were adapting to this year's changes of their annual event. It's crazy how much and how quickly things change in the world we live in these days. We still have a great chat, though, about cocktails, tiki, and of course the Mai Kai and their Gallons to Go program, in which local residents are able to purchase pre-made Molokai Bar level cocktails to enjoy in their own homes. As always, I hope you enjoy this episode as much as we did bringing it to you. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider helping us with your support during this challenging time. Stop by desertoasisroom.com to check out our merch or leave us a tip. We've still got a small handful of Monkey Pod Coup tiki mugs and Talking Head tiki pendants available right now. Any purchase or donation, no matter the size, is totally appreciated and helps keep this podcast coming to you every week. Alrighty. Join me on my virtual trip to Fort Lauderdale, Florida, as we join Jim Hurricane Hayward and the Atomic Grog.
Inside the Desert Oasis Room.
Hello.
Hello, Jim.
Adrian, you there? Good.
Yeah, how you doing?
Good. I'm trying to negotiate all these technical issues, but I think I got you on my headset, correct?
I can hear you great. Happy Aloha Friday.
Thank you. It's kind of hectic considering what's going on, but
Yeah.
good to speak to you.
Yeah,
Can
you
you
too.
hear me okay?
I can hear you great. Great.
I'm already wearing my mask in anticipation of my meetup here, so
Oh, gotcha.
might be a little muffled.
Oh, no, you sound perfect.
Cool.
So, how are things looking like over there in Florida? The last time I spoke to someone in Florida was with Marina about a month ago, and she told me that there were still spring breakers out there out on the beaches, ignoring all of the close orders and that kind of stuff. Has that settled down?
Yeah, definitely. I remember that podcast. I listened to it. It was great. Things have definitely settled down since then. As usual, we're pretty much behind the curve as far as like California's, I think, ahead of us in dealing with that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But things are definitely settled down. We've had some really nice weather. Today's really rainy, though, for some reason.
Yeah.
Hope that doesn't portend to bad things happening. But otherwise, we're dealing with it, as you guys are. I really am happy to be talking to you. I wish we could have done it under better circumstances.
Yeah, the last time we chatted was at the Hukilau, and it was all fun and happiness, and now it's a little bit doom and gloom. How it's a little bit...
Yeah.
Things have changed.
Yeah, it's weird. I tell people, I was on the podcast, back on episode whatever it was, but I wasn't really on the podcast per se, like this, talking. You were recording us on stage at the Mai Kai.
Yeah.
So, but it was definitely a pleasure to do that, and maybe the next time we meet up, it'll be at the Mai Kai.
I would love to do that. I'm totally open to that. Speaking of which, how have the plans for Hukilau been affected by all of this?
That's something I definitely want to talk about during our conversation. Do you mind if we hold that for the end?
Sure, that's fine.
Just as I got in the car, I got a message from the Hukilau about what's going on, so I can talk about that. But I wanted to kind of address exactly why I'm in the car.
Sure.
And it'll probably become clear before people listen to this But I'm going to the Mai Kai for the first time since March 7th.
Wow.
And I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
I have this thing. I'm a local, of course. It's a 16-mile drive, so we're going to be talking for about 20 minutes here while I drive the back roads.
Okay.
Close enough where I can take the back roads to the Mai Kai.
Very nice.
And I'm very fortunate, and I typically go about once a month. And when my wife and I got married, that was one of the things I said, honey, this is good. We have a great thing going. Just let me go to the Mai Kai once a month.
Right.
So at the minimum,
Yeah,
March 7th, and now what is it, April? So it's been a little over a month.
Yeah,
so.
it's April. It's past tax day. I mean, this past tax day, I was kind of freaked out. Like, God, are we really just gonna go right past tax day without worrying about anything? I called my accountant. He was like, "Yeah, it's been pushed out another 90 days." So he's like, "We have lots of time." So.
But is it just me, or does time seem like it's standing still? It's like the last month has gone by so slow.
So slow. I spoke with Rena Bambina. She's a pinup that lives out in Germany, and she comes out here every year for some of the events out here on the West Coast, like Viva Las Vegas and that kind of stuff. And we recorded a podcast after she was back in Germany, and it felt like forever ago when I had seen her last, and we did the math, and it was only like 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
That's strange. I don't know what causes that. Really, it's an odd thing. But
so Mai Kai.
Mai Kai goes. They've been closed. Obviously, all the bars and restaurants around here have been closed. Although some do takeout, and some do delivery and whatever. What the Mai Kai started doing 3 weeks ago is takeout of their cocktails.
Yeah.
And you know how I feel about their cocktails. So,
oh yeah. I'm jealous. Honestly, I'm really jealous that not only that you're able to take these cocktails home from the Mai Kai. Well, I'm jealous about a lot of things with you. So I'm jealous that you're close to the Mai Kai. I'm jealous that you get to take the cocktails home, and I'm jealous that you're getting them in gallon portions.
Right, exactly. I don't know whose idea that was exactly, but it's genius.
It's genius.
Most bars are doing, single cocktails. I've seen a few that do larger portions, but I don't think anyone's doing gallons.
So are they doing it with the alcohol already mixed in, or do you add that when you take it home?
That's the other advantage. The alcohol's already mixed in.
Oh, nice.
And what people might not know is this is not they were ready to go with this because they have a catering business that's part of the Mai Kai. If you go to the website and look up catering, they do private parties, they do corporate events. They'll come to various venues, and they pre-batch select cocktails. You don't have your choice. You have to take one of the 3 or 4 that they offer. But they know how to do this. They've done this many times. And of course, when they go to an event, it's they pour them out for you. But this is the first time you've ever been able to actually just take home a gallon as a private citizen driving up to the Mai Kai, which is I'm doing today. I've missed their first opportunity. They don't do it every day or even every week.
Oh, okay.
It's a huge endeavor. If you look at the photos, I'm going to post some photos on my blog.
Yeah.
They did the first one on April 7th, I believe.
Okay.
And they batched 100 gallons and sold them in 3 hours.
Wow.
So they expanded it to 2 days this time. 2 weeks later, they took a 2-week break to locate all the necessary ingredients and the gallon jugs too. So,
right. Oh, that's right. You have to get the containers.
This week they're doing 2 days of not delivery, of pickup. So you have to order in advance. You have to call and place your order. And I ordered a gallon, and I also ordered a bottle of rum. So they expect to do 200 gallons this week, double the last week.
Yeah.
Keeps happening. Who knows? Next time they do it, they might sell 400 gallons.
Oh, yeah. This is something that when I started seeing that, I thought, shoot, I wonder if there's a way that they could start doing this, maybe have some kind of an arm that just does this and starts distributing them to maybe other markets where it'd be awesome for some of us out here in the West Coast to be able to get that,
Yeah, there's a 2-week shelf life. Apparently, I don't know if anyone has put that to the test. It's hard to keep it for that long without drinking it.
Oh yeah, of course.
But there is something about these. Like I said, they've been doing these preps and these catering events for decades, and I'm even guessing that Mariano had a hand in creating these batch recipes.
Oh yeah,
back in the 70s.
It makes sense.
And they're built to last. They're not designed as craft cocktails that are going to spoil in 12 hours. There's a certain nuance to what they're doing, and the juice that they use is shelf stable for a bit of time. Yeah. And they used to have a drink called the Grandfather Barrel. I don't know if you heard of that.
I think I might have heard of that from you.
The original Grandfather Barrel actually was an aged rum barrel that had been sitting around for a couple days and from some event, and maybe a week or two, and they tasted it and they go, "Hey, this tastes pretty good. It actually tastes aged." So the drink actually aged, even though it wasn't sitting in wood. I know that's a whole separate
right
cocktail. But the barrel sitting around for a couple of weeks actually did not get worse; it got better.
Oh,
and
okay.
I've tasted a barrel like that they've had in the back for a couple of days in the freezer for a couple weeks, and it changes the flavor a bit, but it tastes like a barrel.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
anyway, that's a possibility. Who knows what things are going to be like in the future after we get back to normal.
Yeah, really. I mean, everything that's happening, I think, is going to change our world. Obviously, I think that there's a few things right off the bat that's going to be, I think it's going to create a whole new level of germaphobe that, for people like me who really wasn't a germaphobe before, I'm going to be a lot more cautious going forward. I mean, when they say that it's okay to be back out in public, it's not going to be the same for me. I'm going to be a lot more weary. And, and I think I've mentioned this before, I think insurance companies are going to have a whole new product that they can market called pandemic coverage, and that in the event of a pandemic, your income is insured or something to that effect. And I think people are going to be, and companies are going to be forced to embrace technology a lot more. It's kind of showing a lot of these companies that their employees don't actually have to be in the office.
Right.
When they're forced to be in a situation like this where they have to keep the business running, but employees aren't allowed to be out on the streets to get to work. That the employees are working from home, and they're showing the company, hey, you know what? I could do this from home. I don't have to be there in front of you. So I think there's going to be lots of changes, and with employees maybe getting used to working from home for a month or 2 or 3, they're going to want to start doing that and not commute, not sit in traffic, right? So
I'm definitely used to it. I actually haven't driven in quite a while. My wife drove the last time we were out about 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So I haven't driven this car in about a month.
Yeah, isn't it crazy? I saw this meme that said, my car now gets 30 days to a gallon instead of 30 miles. Yeah, I haven't put gas in my car in over a month either, so I haven't gone anywhere.
Do you get takeout and delivery in your area? Do you have bars that do cocktails, or do you? Obviously, you have a great home bar. But
thanks. I've been making drinks here at home. I haven't been getting any delivery from any of the bars or takeout from any of the bars. I don't actually live close to any of the tiki bars. I live a little bit outside of the main parts of the city, outside of LA County and Orange County, not too far out, close enough for me to enjoy with a car, but in this kind of situation, it's just a little bit out of reach for me. I know that some of the bars out here are doing drinks to go, but the regulations are a little different out here. I think that they're a little bit stricter. They have to sell a certain amount of food before they can sell you any cocktails, and then there's a limit on how many cocktails they can sell you. Right. And I don't know if they are selling cocktails that are already pre-mixed. I know that there are some places where they will sell you a quote-unquote cocktail, but then you have to add the alcohol. And I don't know if that's limitations with the alcohol license or the spirits license they have.
It varies from state to state, and even within states, I think. I've seen all over the country people doing it different ways.
Right.
New York City, they're selling full-blown cocktails to go, but then in Pittsburgh you can't sell the booze, and it's all over the place.
Yeah. I think that this is an opportunity for some bars, like, for example, the Tiki Tea. Their $1 million drink is the Ray's Mistake, and they're obviously going to be secretive about that recipe, but the main ingredient of that is a secret syrup that, you can watch them make the drink and you can see the jiggers that they use and the proportions that they use, but you still can't figure it out because you don't know the secret mix. And it's times like this where it's like, hey, bottle that secret mix and let the recipe out there. People still won't know what's in the secret mix, so it's not like you're giving away the farm, but it will allow people to make those drinks at home, and it'll be a side source of revenue that they're not experiencing. And, like maybe a situation like this, like what the Mai Kai's doing, maybe it will open their eyes and say, hey, we could sell these, at the grocery store or at Bevmo's or whatever,
Yeah. It's just a matter of retooling their operation to be able to do that. And I think a lot of operations are going to have to retool to make money. And
sure.
They're going to lose, at least in the beginning, I think one of the restrictions is going to be capacity. So you're going to see a lot of bars.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Talk about the Tiki Tea, half capacity. That cuts their profits in half. Really.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I talked to Mike Sr. a couple days ago, and he was kind of freaked out about that because he's like, man, we got a little shoebox of a bar, and he's like, if we have to sit 6 feet apart, that's going to cut capacity at least in half, if not more, and of course it's going to cut revenues just as much. But
if they can do a takeout window and just people walking down the street can grab a drink to go,
yeah,
there you go. Yeah,
here in California, you're not allowed to walk around with an alcoholic beverage. It's not like some, like Las Vegas and New Orleans. They allow you to do that. But
the trick is what's open and what's closed and how they sell it, and is it sealed and all that kind of stuff, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
That's for lawyers to figure out.
Right. How has the Mai Kai fared through all of this? Have they had to lay people off or anything like that?
Yeah, unfortunately, as far as the labor goes, that's a common thread I see everywhere. They laid off their entire staff, basically. And, a lot of it's so they can get unemployment.
Yeah.
And, of course, the Florida unemployment system's a mess, but that's a whole different story.
Sure.
I'm actually working less hours myself. I'm not laid off, but I had to take a cut in hours to get through this. But hopefully they'll all be back. Right now, as I'm hoping to see when we go down there, some of the managers are still there. The owners, the managers are pretty much running the show, and they have one bartender on staff. The poor guy is making all these drinks.
Wow.
with the help of the manager and the owner's in there getting his hands dirty, making gallons of rum barrels.
Yeah.
So, but I think they'll come out of it okay. Hopefully, I don't know their financial status as far as the property and loans, but the building itself, I think it can handle any changes in what we're talking about because it's so big. They could section it off. They could put people 6 feet apart, and you still have hundreds of people in there.
Right. Have you ever been in there when it's completely packed?
Yes. Hukilau is typically a completely booked situation.
I suppose
actually, because people have nowhere to sit. So it's not the best scenario because it's an older building with old air conditioning systems.
Right. But I suppose outside of Hukilau, it seems like such a giant space. Are they able to fill it up most of the time?
Depends on what you consider full. The crowd kind of flows. The dinner shows sell out, and then people move. The bar fills up for happy hour, and then people move and the dining room fills up for the dinner show, and then it's never completely full in every nook and cranny like it is during the Hukilau. But now that they have that space, I can foresee a future where happy hour is out in the outdoor garden. Wouldn't that be nice?
Yeah.
So I'm hopeful there, and they're making a little money with these gallons to go. And you spoke of the Tiki Tea and their secret recipes. Of course, the Mai Kai's has their own secrets. And
sure.
I'm buying a gallon. The gallons they have are on their menu are the rum barrel, the pina colada, the jet pilot, and what's the fourth one? They have 4 drinks on the menu, and rather than one of those four, I heard through the grapevine that you could ask for a special order and get a Black Magic.
That's what I was hoping that you were going to say.
So I'm actually getting the Mai Kai is the fourth.
Okay.
And that's a good variety of drinks. Those should please just about anybody.
Yeah.
And they're relatively easy to make. However, the Black Magic is special, as you know, and I'm getting a gallon to take home and continue my journey of trying to decipher what the hell is going on in that drink. I have a whole gallon to test and taste. I can do some further. It's all in the name of research.
Right. Now, have you had their batch Black Magic before? This is the first time you're going and getting these, right?
Yeah, I've had it. They've done this at the Hukilau where we've had events where I'll do a seminar, or Swanky will do a seminar, and the Mai Kai will provide a batch of Black Magics. But you're at an event. They're passing around small glasses. You're not really paying attention.
Right. I was just curious how different the batched version is from an ordered version when you place an order for one.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm hopeful that. Well, I've been promised by the bartender Max that he's following the recipes so strictly. He said these are going to be better than what you might get in the bar on a busy night because he's uninterrupted. He's measuring. He's taste testing every batch. He claims. So
okay, yeah, and he can give it the attention that it deserves. Yeah, because he's not so.
Yeah, you're getting your money's worth, and you pay $80 for a gallon of rum barrels. That may seem like a lot, but I did the math. It works out to like $5 or $6 a drink.
I was going to say that sounds like a pretty good deal. $80 for a gallon worth of cocktails. It sounds like it's better financially.
It's better than happy hour prices, and actually the best deal is the Jet Pilot. Even at $132, that's a small drink in the bar, 3 or 4 ounce drink, and you're getting a gallon of it. So
yeah.
I wouldn't. I mean, if that's the one that's really going to get you messed up, there's 151 rum in the Jet Pilot. That's the one you have to be careful about.
What's going to be scary about having these gallon jugs is that you normally wouldn't have this much of that drink in front of you when you're there, right? Yeah. So, for someone like me, if I had a gallon of something from the Mai Kai, it would be an exercise in self-control because when I'm there, right, I can say, okay, I'll just have one or I'll just have two or I'll mix it up. And then, I'll look at my tab and maybe close things out after 2 or 3. But then if I'm at home with a whole gallon, I could just be pouring these things out again and again and again.
Mm-hmm. My other motivation for going down there today is they've just released a new rum. I believe this is the first time ever that the Mai Kai has its own branded rum.
Oh, very nice. What do you know about that?
It's from the Real McCoy, which is a Barbados rum from Foursquare Distillery.
Mm-hmm.
And if people listening might be familiar with a similar product that was released, I believe in 2017 by Smuggler's Cove.
Okay.
It was a single barrel, a Real McCoy rum that Smuggler's Cove put out, with a special label that said Smuggler's Cove, special edition.
Right, I'm familiar with that.
And the Mai Kai is doing their special edition. It was already planned, months ago. Bailey Pryor, the proprietor of Real McCoy, was supposed to come down and speak April 19th. And then it was supposed to be a big event, and everyone was looking forward to it. But the rum is coming regardless of the event. So they're releasing the rum to everybody this way, so we could pick it up.
Very nice.
So I'm going to pick up the bottle. So it'll be nice to try that out.
What do you know about it?
I am a fan of the Real McCoy, and they're 12-year-old. It's a 12-year-old rum, so it's similar to the Real McCoy's 12.
Okay.
But like Smuggler's Cove did, I believe the Mai Kai. I know the Mai Kai worked with Richard Seal, the distiller, and with Bailey to get their own unique blend. They tweaked it. It's still a Foursquare rum, but the Mai Kai made sure that this was unique, and it has a lot more pot still heaviness to this rum. It kind of goes with what you'd expect from the Mai Kai, their rum style.
Yeah.
So it's not really designed for mixing. They don't usually use heavy Barbados or any kind of Barbados rum in their drinks.
Okay.
This is being sold as a sipping rum and a nice. I'd like to try it though. I think it would work well in place of the Appleton 12. I think it would be a nice alternative.
Wow, interesting. And is this only going to be available at the Mai Kai?
Yeah, that's part of the deal is, it's released exclusive, and so it's only available at the Mai Kai, and we'll see as things develop, things change. Who knows? They might have a online component, but nobody's said anything about that yet.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question, because I'd love to get a bottle of that and give it a shot. I have the Smuggler's Cove, a bottle of the Smuggler's Cove rum that you mentioned, and which I really love, which, I'm also just considering the limited availability of that rum. I kind of sit on it, so that I have it for special things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I should actually get 2 bottles, but they're a little on the pricey side, so I'm going to get one for now and see how it goes. But,
yeah.
One other thing I wanted to talk about before I get there and things start happening is, to bring it back around to it, like the serious topic is the way these restaurants and bars are being hit by this pandemic. And I have something on the blog that I want to point people to at the atomicgrog.com, and it's a resource for people to go and look and see which tiki bars are doing online merchandise and which tiki bars have GoFundMe pages and all that kind of stuff. I encourage everybody to support their favorite bar in this time of need. They're really in a tough situation, unprecedented, really.
Throw out the web address.
It's simply atomicgrog.com,
okay,
or theatomicgrog.com. They both work, and it's right there at the top of the page. And it's a blog post, and I'm updating it almost every day. There's always something new. There's new releases. There's also a list of industry information. If you want to contribute to a general cause as opposed to a local cause, but I think that's really important. And when this first went down, I was, we're in this business, you and I, especially where we're kind of little bit on the fringe. We're kind of in it for the good times and the party. But this is really a serious situation. I wanted to do something. So what could I do? And I thought, I'm a journalist. Maybe I can root out all this information and put it all in one place. It's mainly just the tiki and tiki adjacent bars. There's so many other bars, that need help too. It's just hard to cover everybody. So my blog is all about tiki. So I'm specifically talking about the tiki bars in my blog, but everybody needs a little help right now.
Yeah, I'm hoping that everyone fares through this without too much. I don't know what the word is I'm looking for. It's the timing could be bad for some bars that just opened recently, or some bars that maybe are just hanging on.
Yeah, it's probably inevitable that we're going to lose a few. I just hope the damage is not severe, and I'm hopeful that the industry is in such a healthy state. This is not it's an economic disaster, but it wasn't. It was not a true economic disaster. It was a health disaster that caused an economic. Yeah. So the economy was doing great.
It was doing great before this. Yeah.
So there's still a lot of people out there. I'm hopeful that the industry unites, and we might see some bar mergers or people helping each other out. And it's a one for all situation right now. I think.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of stuff online, which is cool too. People doing. Have you done an online happy hour yet, or a virtual happy hour?
I haven't done an online. To be honest with you, I haven't had the time. I've been very busy recording these COVID Chronicles series podcasts because there's so many people that want to tell their story, and people from all over the world. So I just released an episode yesterday with someone from Australia. The week before, I released an episode with someone from Germany, and the week before that, we talked about some of the things that were happening. I think that one was the one with Marina in Florida. So, people from all over have been wanting to share their stories. And I want to tell them, I think that, obviously it's an unprecedented time in history. And I think that it's important to document all of this stuff. But with today's media, I know that there's a lot of stuff being documented. But just within our tiki community, I think it's important to document the things that are probably going to shape some of the way that these tiki bars do business in the future, right?
Sure. Yeah, exactly. I know you'll continue, and I'm going to continue to do the same when things start reopening. That's one of the other things I'm trying to figure out. Well, how can I cover all the reopenings and let people know? Okay, the bar in a certain area is open again. So.
Right.
then point everybody to help, getting down there and helping them out.
Right. So when you go down for the you've told me this before, that this is the first time you're going to pick this stuff up. I'm curious how busy it's going to be when you get over there.
Yeah, they're doing the pickup between. It's like a 5-hour window today, so
right.
I'm right in the middle of that window. So I don't know how busy it's going to be. We'll see. The last time it was just crazy because it was 1 day and 3 hours, so they got a lot of people. They've spread this out over 2 days, so hopefully it won't be so bad. I think you just pull your car up, pop your trunk, and they drop it in there. But as far as you go, you're just hunkered down and doing your thing and doing all phone interviews, obviously.
Yeah. It's been interesting because it's definitely a different dynamic when I'm not sitting with my guest and enjoying cocktails with them while we chat. The shows are a little bit less jovial just because we're not getting drunk, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm getting a lot of great information about, from how things are from where people are staying. And I never really realized how much time I use in a day to meet up with somebody or have somebody come here to record a podcast. If I sit down with somebody on the phone for an hour, it's really just that hour and I still got the whole day in front of me, where before it was commute time to and from the place and maybe prep time, setting up equipment and that kind of thing. If they came here, it was a lot of that too. It was a lot of, running to the market to get citrus and prepping the bar and crushed ice and all that kind of stuff, and then the before and after of recording, because even after we would finish recording, we would still hang out and drink for a little bit, and just get some hang time. But with a phone conversation, it's really once the phone call is over, then I'm done with that session, so it's affected my time as well in a kind of in a good way. I mean, like, I have more free time for myself, and again, like, I haven't spent any money on gas in over a month. That's probably one of my bigger expenditures because of where I live. I do a lot of driving, and I've been saving tons of money on that, wear and tear on the car and, eating out and all that kind of stuff. So that's been kind of a nice adjustment, kind of a nice change. But it's been keeping me busy. So
I remember I listened to your podcast since the beginning, and those early episodes where you're recording mainly at home in your bar. I always thought that would be a nice place to hang out and do a show.
I'd love to have you. How often do you get out here to California?
Not very often at all. I jokingly tell people I have the Mai Kai so close. Why should I go anywhere else? But I really don't have the opportunity. I have a job that it gives me a couple of weeks vacation, but 1 week is the Hukilau, and the other week my wife and I usually go to Disney World. So we're kind of stuck, and also doing a lot of saving.
Gotcha.
So at some point when I'm out of my day job, like you got out of yours, I'll be getting out of mine at some point, hopefully voluntarily. Yeah. So I'll have a little more time on my hand. But as of now, we're hunkering down working, and we're both working from home, so we're lucky. Yeah.
So the adjustment hasn't been too bad for you then?
Not really. Just trying to keep your sanity is the main thing. I think mental health is under. It's not talked about as much. Yeah. I got you. Yeah, I'd love to host you out here sometime. The podcast was inspired by, and if you've listened to it since the beginning, then you've probably heard this before. It was inspired by comedians in cars getting coffee. Mm-hmm. And it's a show that I enjoy watching. I think it's very entertaining when these guys sit down with a cup of coffee and just kind of have a informal conversation with each other, And I just thought, how much better would this be if it were in a tiki bar with some cocktails instead of in a coffee shop with coffee, right? And, some of the most spirited conversation comes from sitting around a bunch of cocktails with your friends, right? So yeah. So I'm making a turn down the street where the Mai Kai is, so I'm getting very close here.
I love when you approach the Mai Kai in this metropolitan city, and it just looks like this oasis in the middle of Fort Lauderdale, right?
Yeah.
It's such a juxtaposition from the photos of when it was being built, when it was in the middle of nowhere.
I'm jonesing to take a walk around and just, walk around the property, and I've done that so many times. I just probably won't have time today. I don't want to bore you.
Well, is it open for? They'll allow you to do it because
the outdoors. I'm talking about the tiki's outside, the big Barney West tiki that's still standing out there. It's always inspiring to see that stuff from the outside.
Oh, I love it. It's such a treat to go there. I don't get there as often as I'd really love to get there, obviously, but
yeah, it's my escape. I work at a really hardcore journalism job, a daily newspaper where we cover everything that's going on in the world.
Right.
Which in the past couple of years has not been pleasant. So
right.
To escape to the Mai Kai at least once a month is always a treat, and it's inspired everything I do pretty much from day one.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sneak in the back, actually.
Okay.
Easier.
That's awesome that you have that VIP access, huh, Jim?
Oh yeah. Well, I paid my dues.
Right.
Let's see. They have a little tent set up out here, and a line of cars. So we're going to be in line here for a little while.
Okay.
Looks like I might have to go through the front to get in line. So, yeah, I see how they're doing it. You're sort of lined up like a little line, and then they just come out and give you your gallon. So.
Now, would you say that most of the people are in line are tiki people?
Not really, actually. And that's something, when we're in a little insulated tiki world, but the Mai Kai has a vast reach that is way beyond
sure.
tiki. There's a huge local audience, as well as a big crowd of tourists that aren't here right now. But in general, when you walk in there's not a lot of tiki people. You always see a few in the bar, obviously, but
yeah, the
place is full of people from every walk of life. It's great that you see kids, you see.
I love that.
Folks.
I love that. So when they post that they're going to have these gallon cocktails available for sale, a lot of the people that flock out there are just people that love the Mai Kai that aren't really even following the tiki scene. They just love the Mai Kai.
And there's a good following among a lot of different people. I'm sure there's some fishermen picking up gallons because there's still fishing allowed. And you see guys go out and fish boats. Okay. There's still a little bit. I was going to mention that. It's like California, I'm sure, is in the same boat. It's a great state to go out and see things. So I think we're allowed to still do activities. If you're involved in a healthy activity. A friend of mine takes his kayak out into the Everglades and goes kayaking.
Wow.
He does it every day because he's laid off, and he said it's great. There's nobody out there. I mean, even when there's no pandemic, there's nobody in the Everglades. So,
right.
He's able to still enjoy our natural resources.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, I mean, they have restrictions out here too. If you go hiking and all of that, they want you wearing a mask, and they still want you practicing social distancing. And the parks out here by my house, all the parking lots have been coned off. No one's allowed to use the parks other than for walking, and there will be signs everywhere. They have these giant banners that have those restrictions. But, yeah, I mean, people are still enjoying. I mean, we have great weather out here, so people are still enjoying all of our natural parks and all of our natural resources like the beaches and stuff like that. Actually, the beaches are closed.
Yeah.
But people are still using the boardwalks and stuff to maybe ride their bikes or go jogging or that kind of thing. But there's, again, restrictions with face masks and all of that.
All right, I'm at the end of the line. It looks like it might be about a dozen cars deep at this point.
Okay, that's not too bad.
Hopefully this moves along.
Yeah, I don't expect that to take too long. I know you guys don't have In-N-Out Burger out there, but the In-N-Out Burger lines are crazy over here. Those lines, there's probably 40, 50 cars deep.
Yeah.
And that's just because everything is takeout, right? So people say, hey, let's go to In-N-Out, and it's a popular place to go. I assume that a lot of those people that are in that drive-through line would typically just be eating inside. So the line is probably not really representative of a pandemic per se. It's just that the people that are inside, typically inside, are in line now in their cars, and it moves pretty fast. They're pretty organized about it. So,
I'm just curious. Do you have restaurants where the old school kind where you drive up and you get your food at your car? Do those still operate?
The only ones that do that is Sonic.
Right. We have a Sonic. I was going to say we have that here.
Yeah, but Sonic is not an old school place. It's something it's a throwback, right? They're doing that, but that's not something that's been around forever.
They're using modern technology. I don't think they would.
Right. Exactly.
Car hops coming to your window and.
Yeah, and even at Sonic, they have an inside restaurant area where you can sit at a table, which is what a lot of people do. So the car hop stuff outside is not as busy as you would think.
Right.
But they sell the nugget ice, so that's where I go to get my ice because it's crushed, and you can go through the drive-thru and buy it's $3 a bag for a 10-pound bag. Mm-hmm. And I put a cooler in my front seat, and I buy a couple bags and drop them in the cooler, and that's what I use at home. So it's great,
Yeah, for sure. It's great for parties, too.
Great for parties. But you got to use it right away because it freezes into a solid block if you don't.
Yeah, that's why I reserve it for parties. But there's nothing worse than in the middle of a party cranking up I have an ice crusher that's very loud.
Right. They all are, right?
it kind of defeats the mood of the exotica music.
And how much does it crush at a time?
I can crush a big amount, maybe like a quarter of a bag.
Okay. Okay.
A fair amount.
Because the ones that I've seen out here, it can only really crush maybe 1 or 2 rocks glasses at a time. Yeah. And so it's a slow process if you've got a lot of people that you're hosting,
Yeah. So these virtual online parties seem interesting. I really haven't done one yet. I'm getting kind of motivated to do more stuff like that. You're my first kind of social appearance online, but there's a lot of cool stuff going on, I've noticed. And again, I want to stress the fact that people should support bartenders, and if you see any bartenders or bars doing these things, definitely give them some love of what they're doing online.
Yeah, some people have been doing these Zoom meetups, which I think is pretty interesting. It's connecting people, and it's making the world a smaller place, right? You actually, even if you're here by yourself in your room, you actually still feel like you're there with your friends. Yeah,
I've done it. My wife's doing it actually with her friends. She's doing a Zoom happy hour tonight.
Yeah,
so she does that to stay in touch with her friends.
Yeah, we've done they do a toast to Ray on Wednesday nights at Tiki Tea. Toast to Ray Bune, who was the founder of the Tiki Tea. And we've been doing that every week with the regulars. So one of the regulars has a business account, so there's no limit on how many people can join and how long the session can be. So, we'll get on there for maybe 20 minutes before the toast. We'll do the toast, and then we'll hang out for another hour before everybody logs off. It's pretty neat.
I saw that. I was definitely going to ask you about that. That seems really cool. I know that's a tradition, and it's a great tradition, and it's something I've always wanted to do. But I also saw something that Tiki Tea did. Didn't Mike do it?
Yeah, he did a video. He did a video. He was going to do, so earlier that week he said, I'm thinking I'm going to do a video because we talked about, hey, you should just get on this thing and then we'll do it all together. And he said, well, I'm thinking about doing a video and I'm going to put it up on the Tiki Tea page. And I said, cool. And then as the days passed, someone said, oh, he wants to do it as a live video so that, he could do it live with people. And it ended up being a video that he, I don't know if it was pre-recorded. It looked like it was pre-recorded, and then it was released at the time that they do the toast. They typically do it at 9 p.m. Pacific time on Wednesday nights. Mm-hmm. And that was when the video was put up on their Facebook page. Mm-hmm. So it's cool because now it's up there, right? But I don't know if he's going to do a new video every week, but
right.
It was neat that I could share some of that too on my social media,
So lacking the Ray's mistake, what do you drink? Or are there like tribute recipes out there that kind of come close to
Ray's Mistake is probably like the Black Magic for you guys, where everybody's been trying to reverse engineer it for years. I do like the Ray's Mistake. It's a great drink. I'll tell you, though, just because of the availability of ingredients and how things change over the years, it's not the same drink that I remember when I first had it back in like the mid-90s. I remember in the mid-90s when I first had that Ray's Mistake. Mm-hmm. It was like drinking a glass of heaven.
Yeah.
And it's still a good drink, but it's changed, you know. It's not the same memory I have.
Yeah.
But I think my favorite drink over there is the Puka Punch.
Mm-hmm.
And I had the Puka Punch at Mai Kai, and it was equally as good.
Yeah.
I'd give the edge to the Mai Kai, I think, though.
We're in the same situation here with ingredients, but a lot of it is the rums, and you.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
You were there for my rum symposium.
Yeah.
A lot of those old rums aren't available anymore, but they're really trying. And what I love about the Mai Kai, though, is everything else is the same. But the juices specifically, because they get them from Florida orange groves right here. So that's the trick. It's like they're not squeezing the lemons and oranges. They're locally produced juices. And the syrups are those secret syrups that they're trying to duplicate to the same specs, but it's hard.
Yeah. Ingredients change all the time, and like sourcing some of these. Maybe the original source went out of business, or they changed the way that they produce their product. And so you have to adjust to that. And speaking to the same thing that I said about the Ray's Mistake changing over time, the first time I had a Black Magic was in 2002 or 2003. And when I was at the Mai Kai last year for Hukilau, the Black Magic didn't taste the same as the one that I had in 2003.
Well, I know why though. They've and this happened about 5 years ago. They've resumed using a secret syrup called Number 7, which was in the original back in the 70s, and then fell out of the drink at some point. And in the past 5 years, they brought Number 7 back.
Okay.
That changed a lot. It changed 5 or 6 different drinks, and not for the worse. I mean, it tastes a little different, but once you get used to it, you go, wow, it's like a falernum.
Okay.
It's the best I can call it.
Okay.
It's like a spicy falernum. I've been trying to reverse engineer it, but it's unique.
And I think the rum changed too, right? Because when I was sitting in your seminar, you had talked about that. You had talked about how they went through a few different rums they blended a couple different rums to get that old flavor back.
Yeah, they've done that in the past 2 or 3 years. I'm about 3 cars. They should be coming right up to me next. I see Dave out there, the owner.
Dave Levy?
Yeah. Yep.
I have a fun story about Dave Levy. When I was at the Hukilau I think it was in 2000, either 3 or 4, there was a Hurricane Jean blew through, and the whole city was on lockdown, but they continued to host the guests for the Hukilau, so we had the Mai Kai to ourselves. And I got a private tour by one of the restaurant captains by the name of Patrick. He showed me all around, took me to the back, gave me a bunch of cool stories, showed me Bob Hope's favorite table, that kind of stuff. Cool. And then afterwards, there was a hurricane party at Dave Levy's house. And a small
Legendary. I've heard about it.
Small handful of us got to go down there, and they had some bartenders making us rum barrels and serving them in solo cups out of his kitchen. And he had Elvis live in Hawaii on his big screen. He has this really great home theater that he was blasting this stuff. Everyone was getting drunk and dancing in the living room. And if you looked out the back sliding door, the trees were all sideways because of this hurricane. It was a very surreal experience. And I was fortunate enough to be one of the people that was there. It's a memory I'll take with me. One of my most cherished memories in the early days of the Tiki revival, because it was such an honor to be in his home and to experience this thing with probably only maybe a dozen other people,
Yeah, that's what's cool about places like the Tiki Tea and the Mai Kai. It's the original owners or the sons of the original owners, and they're really into it. They know exactly the traditions, and the passion's still there.
Yeah, I love it. And I recounted that story to him at the Hukilau this year, and he remembered. So it was,
There he is.
yeah. That was
Hey,
neat.
Dave. How you doing? I'm recording this. I've got a live podcast, not live, but we're recording a podcast with Adrian of Inside the Desert Oasis Room. Say hello, Dave.
Hello, how are you?
Aloha, Dave.
Adrian says aloha. Here's the black magic. Excellent. Oh, wow. Thank you.
Rum barrel.
Cool. I'll have to have a little party.
Yeah.
and one real McCoy, too. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
You don't lie.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to taste this. So, is Max around?
No.
Okay, he took off? All right. Thank you.
I'll see you later, bud.
All right, thanks. Yeah, I don't want to hold up the line anymore.
No worries. That was great. We got to have Dave say hello to the podcast and to our listeners for a second there.
And I got a bonus barrel.
Oh, really?
That was nice, yes.
Very nice.
I'll have to share my riches with some friends.
See, that's the difference between you and me. That's probably something that I wouldn't tell somebody about unless I couldn't consume it all myself, right?
I'm gonna jump out and put this in the cooler in the trunk.
Yeah, go right ahead.
So yeah, I was hoping to talk to Max. He's the bartender that did all the mixing.
Yeah.
He's a new hire. He works for Lemon Heart, and he's trying to keep their recipes true to the originals and as best he can.
I'm curious, when they hire a new bartender, how much of their recipes, their secret recipes, do they share?
They share quite a bit, but not everything.
So here's how they do it at Tiki Tea. So
Okay.
the recipes obviously were secret until they hired Greg. And that's the first employee that they've ever hired there. It's always been family run by Mike Sr. and his boys. And Greg knows the recipes to the drinks, but he doesn't know the recipes to the syrups. So he still couldn't go off and make these drinks on his own.
It's exactly the same here. Yeah, they still say number 7 or number 4 on the recipe, and you don't know what that is.
Okay, so everything's still protected. Yeah, and I think Mike Jr. told me they have 12 or 13 different syrups, which are interspersed with their drinks, and sometimes some drinks have multiple syrups, sometimes some drinks have one syrup, and so having a recipe for a cocktail without knowing what's in the syrups is kind of useless. You know?
Right, exactly, yeah. And the Mai Kai even takes it to an extreme. The bar manager doesn't even know the secret.
Oh, really?
It's sort of like the mafia. They keep it in the family. You have to be in the family to know. So the owner and his daughter, who's now an assistant manager, know the recipes.
And they're the ones who are making the syrups every day.
There is a person. There's another person, and it's another odd thing. It's the daughter of a former bartender, and her father used to make the syrup for Mariano, so he knew the recipes. And when Mariano passed away, these syrups sort of disappeared. That's what I was saying. They only came back 5 years ago when this old retired bartender started making them again.
Okay.
He was Mariano's right-hand man back in the day. And sadly, he passed away recently, so in the past 2 or 3 years. But his daughter
it's too bad.
was able to carry on. So
Okay, so those recipes didn't die with him.
no.
Yeah,
And I think they're still recreations. They're not the exact.
Okay.
They're probably close enough.
Okay. Because I do wonder about that, some of the secret stuff from the past when only one person or two people know it and then they're both gone. Did those die with them? It'd be a shame if that happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So what's next now? Lunch and
Yeah.
and
a sampling of it.
and a rum barrel? Well, we're at the 1 hour mark, so
Okay.
I think I'm going to let you go. But I want to say thank you so much for sharing this moment with us and chatting with the podcast.
Okay, and I just want to give a quick mention. The Hukilau is being rescheduled, and you should have news way before this podcast airs. There'll be an announcement. There'll be
very nice.
Cool information about the Hukilau changing and adapting, and it'll include a lot of new elements and things that you can do to help your bartenders in need and help bars in need will be part of the event.
Very nice. And for your website, for everybody that wants to reach you, let's throw that out there.
It's as always, theatomicgrog.com, and I've got some new stuff in the works. Again, within 10 days, you'll see a new feature that, again, will be paying tribute to some of my favorite bartenders. And I want people to play along and mix up drinks at home. You'll see it on the blog.
That's great. And as always, you're welcome to share all those links on Inside the Desert Oasis Room group page. We're happy to do things with you at the Atomic Grog and share each other's brands out there. I think it's important that people in the community support each other, and especially in this time, escapism seems to be more important than ever.
Yeah, I love the blog and I love the community, and I think that's what communities are for, is to have each other's back, and I think it's cool. It's a really cool thing.
I appreciate that so much. Well, I want to say thank you again, Jim, and we'll chat soon.
Mahalo.
Alrighty, cheers.